Okay, please have a seat. We want to continue. I see, in past year, everybody wanted more networking and breaks, but I think we're going to eliminate the lunch if nobody going to come back from the break. So please have a seat. I want to introduce our next moderator, and she will introduce the panel. So can you put the slide, please, of the panel? Perfect. Thank you very much. So the next panel is Experience the Detail Hotel panel. The moderator is Flavia Handler. She has worked in marketing. She's worked in marketing and consumer research for 20 years. She started at a small casino in South America and went on to pursue a master's degree in hospitality in Las Vegas. After working in database marketing for the Venetian Resort in Las Vegas, she obtained a PhD in hotel administration and consumer behavior from the University of Nevada. She is currently on the editorial board of Cornell Hospitality Quarterly, and she is the director of communication for Innovel. Flavia holds a production engineering degree as well from the Polytechnic School of the University of São Paulo, Brazil. She speaks English, Portuguese, Spanish, French, and she's working on learning Hebrew and Arabic, and I'm proud to be her husband. So thank you very much. Flavia is going to introduce the panel, and Slido is working, okay, apparently. So what we're going to do is when the panel going to start, they're going to flip the screen. You won't see this screen, and you're just going to start seeing question coming up if you're sending question. If not, again, you can put your hand up and we'll pass the mic. Thank you very much.
Hello. Thank you all. Thank you, Ron. I would like to invite our panelists here up to the stage. Raphaël Gray with Accor, the small French company. And Ronen Nissenbaum with Dan Hotels. Kurian Jacob from Highgate Ventures. Daniel Wishnia here with JCH Hotels. And Ignacio Garcia Sanabria, who comes from Spain with a roommate group. And Ignacio joined us, even though they have 3 openings. So thank you for coming here. So, do we have Slido up? So let's start. I would like to please ask the panelists to introduce themselves, tell us a little bit about your background and the company.
Sure. Hi, Raphaël Guillet from Accor Hotel. So working on what we call new businesses. So most of you probably know Accor from the different brands like Ibis, Mercure, Novotel, Sofitel, or Fairmont & Raffles. What you may not know is that in the past 3 years, we've invested or mostly acquired quite a few startups in technology in the hospitality industry, with really the idea of going from a hotel operator to a larger hospitality player.
Good morning. My name is Ronen Nissenbaum, the president and CEO of Dan Hotels. As you probably know, Dan Hotels has 15 hotels in Israel and 1 hotel in India, in Bangalore, that we opened about 6 months ago. We're opening up another very technologically advanced hotel in Tel Aviv, the Link Hotel and Hub, in about a month from today. We also own a catering company. We also are part ownership of the VIP lounges at the airport. We also have a gastronomical hotel school here in Israel, and that kind of covers the company itself. We have 4,000 hotel rooms, about 4,000 employees, and that's about the company. I've been with the company for the last 6 months, and prior to that, about 15 years in the States, 15 years in Europe, and a few years in Asia.
Thank you.
Hi, it's still morning, right? So good morning, everybody. Kurian Jacob with partner and principal with Highgate Ventures. Just a quick background about Highgate. Highgate was a real estate company formed in New York predominantly, and from a real estate owning company of hotels has moved into the management company with the largest operator of hotel rooms in New York City at 12,000 rooms and total aggregate 30,000 rooms across key markets in the US and Europe. And so from real estate, buying and selling real estate to operating hotels, and we've formed the third arm of our company, which is the Highgate Venture side, which is investing in travel tech with some connection to the hospitality side. So we have a perfect sandbox with the hotels that we like to test and deploy good ideas, and if we like it, we like the team, the product, we would potentially invest in that and scale because we feel that the multiples on tech will be better for the future versus multiples on the hotel business.
Hello, my name is Daniel Vishnia. I work in GCH Hotel Group. We are one of the biggest hotel management chain in Germany. And what I do is the digital consultancy and try to be one step ahead and try to bring innovations to the journey, the customer journey, and the hotel operation itself. I'm glad to be here. We have some innovating companies here in Israel that are working with us already. And we're open to test and to work with startups because we think there is a nice challenge for the hotels to bring innovations to the hotel. In the other side, for the startups to test and to their ability and to make a proof of concept. So we are open for these kind of challenges.
Hi, everyone. I think I'm getting more philosophical here because I want to present Roommate, and you probably don't know Roommate. Roommate Group is, well, my name is Ignacio Garcia. I'm Business Transformation Director for Roommate Group. And in Roommate Group, we like to present ourselves for for the benefits we create on our customers, not what we do. Because that's the first thing for innovation. If you stay if I present myself as a hotel brand or a hotel chain, I will keep being a hotel chain. So we present ourselves as people who make our customers happy, no? And from that basis, it tangibilizes, or the materialization is we have our core business is Hotel Group. We are 22 hotels right now, but we're ending this month, as Flavia said, with 25. We're opening Paris, Rotterdam, and San Sebastian. And that's the core business, but we also have two more business lines, which are rental apartments, and which has 4 years age, and a consultancy firm, which just has 1 year. We created past year with PwC. Well, it's a partner in our technology based, and we'll talk about it probably afterwards. But that's it.
Thank you. So, Rafael, I wanted you to talk a little bit more about your background because I know you were a startupist, and then that first worked with a corporation, and then went to startups, and you're pretty much a success story now. So can you tell us a little bit of how that happened and what you're bringing into the hospitality company?
Sure. So yeah, maybe to elaborate a bit more. So, as you said, I started after I finished my studies. I worked for a big corporation, Air France, the French airline. After a few years, I thought it was moving too slow and was more interested in the startup world. So. I co-founded a startup, quite a few actually, and one of them got acquired by Accor 3.5 years ago. So that's how I arrived in this company. And the funny thing is, I'm saying we actually because I still work with the two associates, the two partners that I have. We were not thinking about staying at Accor for a very long time. From the world that we were looking at, it was too big to be interesting, basically. But we discovered that it was really committed to really trying to get inspiration from how the startups are working and really acknowledging the fact that a lot of the innovation come from these smaller companies. And here it's really interesting to be back in a big corporation, but really in the middle, basically really trying to build a bridge between all those startups and a big company like Accor.
So what did they do to have you, to attract your talent like you, innovative in technology, to be willing to stay with Accor?
Mostly they gave us a very big playground. As I was saying, that really in the past 3 years we've acquired more than 10 different companies. Now a big part of our work is helping them grow and scale. Most of them, they joined Accor because basically they proved a market fit, and they were looking for a partner to go more international and bigger. So it's definitely doing things at scale that really makes it the most interesting.
So what are you looking for? What kind of innovation you're?
Basically, yeah. So, I mean, on our end, it's anything that can either bring value to the guest or to the hotel owners. It's as simple as this.
Thank you. And so can you take on that question as well? What kind of innovation you're looking for? You mentioned that you're opening a very technologically advanced hotel. So what does that mean? What is different about it, this new hotel in Tel Aviv?
I think that the basics are being handled by most of the big companies in the sense of having smart rooms, and the way that the direction is really going mobile, whether it's the reservation stage, communication with the guest, but then on arrival, checking in, using your phone as a digital key. Then further innovations from that of using your phone to do almost everything in the room, including your remote control, your electricity, your temperature control, everything done from the phone. So basically, if you lose your phone, you're dead.
Experience is gone.
But there's obviously backup systems, as like every good IT scenario, you have backup systems. But the idea really is, with a culture that is known to be a little bit more conservative, which we are, the Dan hotels, with hotels like the King David and the Dan hotels, which are typically the highest rated hotels in each city, Eilat and Haifa, in Jerusalem, Tel Aviv. We really wanted to go out there and the way I talk about the hotel is, in Israel we have the brightest minds. We're the second largest Silicon Valley in the world. We're the startup nation. Why shouldn't we have the hotel that is the most technologically advanced in the world and show the rest of the world how technology could actually be implemented in our hotel. So I think we should be proud of what we do here and the startups that you heard previously, and you'll probably hear some more later today. How do you put that together with a hotel? And make sure that you're attracting the next generation. We know that we attract most of 18-year-olds to 60-year-olds, and they all seem to love us from a brand perspective. But really, what we're doing today is thinking about the next generation, and it changes so quickly. My children, I have 3. My 23-year-old would use Facebook, but my 17-year-old wouldn't touch Facebook. It's too old for her. And the technology is moving so quickly that our biggest challenge is keeping up with it in the hotel business, keeping up with the latest innovations and seeing which one of them could easily be implemented or not. And we're using Link as our R&D project to really show how we can take a hotel and utilize the latest technology in order to be able to show the innovation and make that part of our culture.
So you made it a beta site here in Israel for your
It is. It is our new brand.
How easy is it to take it to the other properties?
Once the application that we're building, the app that we're building, and we're doing this together with 2 or 3 partners, but it's really managed by our head of IT who's here today, Yossi. It really is a platform that we could then utilize and move to our other properties. It depends what you want to do. It's almost like
the development team is here.
Once we started here at the Link Hotel and we beta test it and we make sure it functions, we can then decide which part of the application could be used at the Dan Hotel or the Dan Panorama or the King David and say, these three elements would make sense, but these two elements require a little bit more service, more face-to-face, and therefore we won't do that in some of our other properties. But it'll be almost like a menu, and these are the things that you can utilize, but it is important. One of the things that I heard one of the startupists talking about was having a unique platform. And one of the benefits of being a relatively small company with one PMS system, one CRS system, one key system, one they're all unique systems. We build one interface and it goes to all our hotels in one go. And that makes it very easy to be nimble and quick to be able to put this into our hotels, as opposed to my previous companies, 4,000 hotels, 5,000 hotels, multiple ownership groups, multiple franchisees, almost impossible to implement things quickly.
To add to that, actually, from our side, innovation, we look from research to stay. So it's the whole paradigm of where you start and where you end up. What we look for in companies, which cuts across both on the investing side of ventures as well as the actual operation side of hotels, is anything that can add tremendous revenue opportunities to a hotel. So obviously anything that's revenue enhancing, which is revenue management systems, or anything that you can have in building more traffic to your website and conversions, thereby increasing revenue, or reducing costs is another area, or increasing efficiency and improving productivity. Those are all measurable, so you can actually set very, very tangible results. You know what you're doing today on each parameter, and you say, am I actually increasing from X to Y? What does that translate in terms of a percentage? What does it translate into incremental revenue or reduced cost? And what's the actual system that helps me do that? What's the cost of that system? Get into an ROI analysis. And if you can show payback periods, whether it's 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, it's great. And then from a perspective of a company, you look at the product, it has to have to be clearly differentiated, because there's so many people in the space today. Like you talk about guest engagement. I've met so many companies on guest engagement with efficiency, back office, all of that. But how are you different from each one of them? So the product has to be really, really differentiated and disruptive, that it can show something totally different. The team is extremely crucial in terms of who are the people behind it at every level, the top CEOs to CTO to product to the customer success part is very, very important. And 3, is this company going to be around for a long period of time? Because you don't want to take all this effort, so you have to see the runway, and the potential for a company to actually hire and get in the next round, because the last thing that we want to do is spend all the time and resources bringing in somebody in which you know is not going to be there for 6 months or a year down the road. And we heard from Chetan's presentation earlier, it is the truth. There are a lot of companies that are going to fail, so you have to be very cognizant of the fact that you choose that. So there is a little bit of perception that goes behind actually identifying these companies.
So what is it that stands out to you when you try to analyze the team? Let's say with a new startup, with a young team that comes to you.
Good question. You just can't say, okay, the idea is good, because there are a lot of ideas, a lot of products, but you have to analyze the leadership ability of the person. Is this person somebody who can actually lead the team? Is this person going to be able to raise funds beyond just initial startup stage? Can they go to Series A, to B, to C? How will they do in a boardroom? How does the technology guy think? Do they bring the latest technologies? Will they be able to lead a team? So you're looking for sort of qualities and attributes that are probably not there. I think what happens is everybody focuses too much on the product, but even within the team, it's about bringing in how you can actually help scale overall, and you have the bandwidth and you can show a path to a final stage. So there are a lot of subjective, intricate qualities that you have to keep looking for in the people. It's very difficult to describe it right now in this forum here. So.
Oh, you did it very well, thank you. And Daniel, tell us what is next, what you're looking for, what do you think the future is bringing us in terms of innovation?
Okay. I will start from the end of his question, and then I will continue the answer.
Yeah, you're Israeli. You need to tell me how it has to be done.
No, because there are some things that are important. We are looking for innovations that can make a smooth path through the customer journey. We know that digital is part of all customer journey. From pre-booking, from the search and until the stay in the hotel, and then after you leave the hotel. Digital is there. So what we are looking for is very simple. A startup that can do a more smooth work in the customer journey, check-in, check-out. We heard today some of the startups working on it. And in the other hand, on the operations. So digital is part of all the spectrum in hospitality, and we are looking to make a more smooth work with the customers and for sure with the operation, with the hotel itself. Innovations, we are working, I will focus more on the exposure because, as I said before, we have a lot of work in different aspects of the hospitality, working with startups or with companies, digital companies, innovative, some of them very innovative. As I spoke with you before, doing a test on even on block, yeah, and I will talk maybe later about it on blockchain. But regarding the innovation, we are working now with two companies from Israel. One is VD-Room, and I think we heard them before. We are doing 360 exposures. And it's interesting because 2 years ago we started to investigate how a 360 picture work and how the customers are receiving it. And one picture we did, we received some 20,000 views, 360, from 1 month, 2 months. We started to investigate, and today we have some pictures of the hotels that have more than 300,000 views. And what it's innovative in what we are using now is that the same picture that we are doing and placing only in Google Maps, we have them in the search, we have them in the website, we have them in our campaigns. So it's the same, and we have them for sure in the web search as a virtual tour. So these kind of innovations, I think it's one very nice thing to expect. Again, on the stage of research in the hotel. How can a hotel be different? Hotel be more exposed? So, and the other one is a chatbot that we are implementing in our hotel. Again, how to make the stay of the guest simple. How can he find a way to communicate, a more modern way to communicate, faster way? And this is, again, in a stage of test. And this kind of thing is what guides us to choose a startup to work with.
Thank you. There was a question here, and what do you know about your guests? Can we get that question up again? I just thought it was an interesting question, but I can't see it. Yes, please.
Once again, what do you really know about your guests? I guess you know how old they are, maybe. You probably know where they're coming from and how many they came to stay in your hotel. But do you know what they really like to do outside of your hotel? Do you know what they like to eat? Do you know what they like to see? Do you know where they spend their money at? Is this information important for you to make future decisions in regards to marketing for those clients or loyal clients?
Ignacio?
Yeah, and in fact, I saw another question, and I'm going to try to answer both with how we're facing innovation. Let me first introduce. We usually, or what we're doing now, is facing innovation in towards people. Okay, I want to separate people between our talent and our customers. we basically have invested first of all because we are not a huge chain, and we've started in the customer side, and we created a data lake with all of our sources of information which are going on the same platform, and there is much of the information we have from our customers. When we started this project, which was with the one with PwC, I was in PwC at that time, Roommate had 1 million lines of information, and we multiplied it by 10 just by understanding in one simple line there's lots of information. So, for example, how long have you the anticipation date of reservation, or how many people you come with, or if you buy a bottle of water. But that's only in the hotel. And answering your question, we are now entering a new project which tries to focus on how much information can we get from our guests from their experiences outside. This is a tough thing because we've got the GDPR, and it's a little. You have to take care what information you gather and what information you don't. But this is something which really is important for us because we think that the experience in the hotel doesn't start when they come. It starts before and it ends up when he goes back. And during all that time, he is in the city. He's not in my hotel. And that's part of the experience. And he will rate me for my hotel based on the experience he had in the city. So we want to take care of our customers there. And in all this platform we created, we created a business intelligence, which we already had, but it's much more important, much more intelligent. And we created some use cases based on artificial intelligence. And one, because I saw the question, how do you fight the hotel cancellation problem? Well, one of our use cases is based on cancellation predictions, based on deep learning. And we are now using this software for our hotels, and we proved it works. But not only we've proved it works, the third line, the third business line I talked about before, it's Roommate BMate Experience consultancy firm. What we are doing is democratizing some way our platform, because there's like lots of hotels in Spain, small hotels, which can't afford to invest so much money in this type of softwares or technology. And what we are doing is getting more people into this project. So it's 1 year and we only have 2 clients, but our plan is to make lots of us in that path so that we can push forward and try to compete against Accor and all this.
I would like to hear from Accor on that.
On those questions related to guests. I mean,
information and what you do.
For us, obviously, it's also one of the main focus. So there's been a huge project, internal project that was just released called the ACDC. It's basically the digital customer card of our clients. It's true that at scale, it's harder to do it.
But do you do most of those efforts in-house, or are there enough companies, outsiders that?
We do. So for the centralized approach, we do mostly in-house. We do a lot of tests and innovations with different startups or partners on different brands, or even on specific hotels. But at one point, for the centralized approach, it needs to be.
So just more generally, how do you innovate in this environment that is traditionally more about people and relationships? How do you use technology? What is the vision? What kind of product really captures your heart as a manager?
I think it is something that the hospitality is grappling with, in the sense of, we're all about people and serving other people, but I think there is a middle ground of how to use technology to make it more convenient, to ease the customer journey, rather than to completely take over what humans are supposed to be doing in the sense of the hospitality. And I think you have to look at it from a different paradigm. At least I try to look at it and say, what would I see as luxury? And I'm just using luxury as an example. For me, luxury is a choice. Give me a choice of if I want to have a tremendous amount of service in a 5-star superior hotel, and to talk to people and to see people, and then give me the choice to automate the whole process. And for me, that would be the luxury, if you give me the choice of what to do. When I go and fly, 9 times out of 10, I don't want to speak to anybody. I want to go to the kiosk. I want to already print my boarding pass beforehand. I want to pass the lines. I don't want to have any service whatsoever. It's my choice, even though I'm flying business. Same thing with the hotel. When I was in New York running the Waldorf Astoria, that was the whole idea is, okay, how are you going to automate? You don't need the front desk anymore because we're going to check in with the app, and then we're going to bypass, and that's not real luxury. I said, no. Let the guest decide what he wants to do or she wants to do, and that would be the luxury that they choose. Have the options available for people to do that. So a long answer to your short question, I think hospitality will never be without people. You're not going to be completely able to automate everything. There are some hotels that are trying to do that with robots and with, but I think for the very high-end hotels, you're never gonna be in a situation where you don't have people. I think the link is a good middle ground where you have a very good level hotel, but you've automated many parts of the customer journey, and then you're able not only to deliver what the customer hopefully and the concept wants, but you're also doing it in an environment that is more profitable. As we know today, the labor not only is expensive, but it's hard to find. One of my biggest worries is finding the labor in the future, and I see technology and innovation as one way to combat the future problems that we have when it comes to finding the right talent.
Thank you. Kuriana, one of the questions here is how do you push hotels to adapt fast to innovation? But maybe on top of that, we can use from previous panel, how do you get your hotel to bring in the ideas for innovation can bring? Is there a way to have reward systems to involve the hotel operations in this innovative mentality?
So the question is, how easy is it to get innovative companies to the hotel and implement them? Extremely difficult, even for me. So just to give you the nature of the industry, I know from a startup side, people have this great idea. I'm going to solve a problem. You've got a pain point. I've come with a solution. Why can't you listen? You've got an issue. Hoteliers, by nature, I think, it takes time. I've seen that. Even in our own company, like for me to we were working with this company called Recharge. It was up on the screen earlier on. It's rooms by the minute or hour or whatever. Like it was 50 cents a minute, which was translated to dollars and whatnot. It's nothing bad, by the way. They really do stuff. They're saying that people need time to recharge during the day. They just want to maybe take a shower and go to a show, or they have a meeting and say, you know what, they came in on a long flight, take a quick nap. Good company raised a good amount of money. And I said, okay, fine. We didn't feel comfortable investing in them. So I said, we want you to try you out in the hotels and see if we really like the stuff that's happening. We would invest in you guys. So they came up with great data and said, you know what, we have a lot of our customers that want a room at 8 a.m. to 11 or 12. And then they said another set of customers come in maybe from 5 to 7. We can't sell the overnight rooms because that's not our typical customer. So this is what they go to the hotel, and the hotel says, sorry, and some of the hotels in New York run 95% occupancy all the time. Said, sorry, we have no rooms available at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m. Why? Because my housekeeping shift starts at 9 o'clock. So all the housekeeping attendants come at 9 o'clock. And there are vacant, dirty rooms from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. not being used. So I said, we can't just do it. I said, what happens if you get some more earlier shift? He said, no, it's a union, this and that, I have to change the whole thing. So what they did is they took 2 years of data and they showed the graph of all the clean, vacant, dirty rooms, and they superimposed their traveler pattern over that and said, if you get in one attendant who comes in at 8 a.m. or 7 a.m., this is what you can do in incremental revenue during this period. So they went the extra mile, they used the data, and they showed that information to the hotels, and thereby try to convince the people to actually do the stuff. So I think it's a tough way to do it, but you have to go the extra mile and make that effort to do stuff to actually showcase. And then ask for a pilot. Ask for one. It normally has to be free. And then say, this is my window. It starts here, 3 months. These are my metrics. If I show you this, do I have a contract or something to go for a long term? And then you dedicate yourself with that one contract versus trying to do all around. And I like the mini approach, don't go for the Hilton, don't go for the Marriott. Everybody wants that big whale. It's always tough to fish for that big one right away. But go for the smaller groups or independent hotels to test your thesis. That's what I would recommend.
So, hotels, companies usually, they have, there are three major elements, right? They can be asset owners, they can be franchise companies, or they can be management companies. So I wanted to ask you all to discuss the different structure where your organization is and show the startups how that can impact who can be approached. So when do they have a better chance to sell their product, and discuss a little bit the size of the company, what is easier if they have more resources, or in smaller companies, where should they focus their efforts first?
And I'm answering also another question I saw in the TV. We are managing our hotels, we don't own our property, and that's, I think, something which makes us grow rapidly. One of the main points is we grow rapidly. As I've said before, we're opening 3 hotels this month, but we're doubling the size of our hotel chain in 1.5 years. This is because we don't have to buy the property. There's partners which we obviously make a contract and all of that. No, but we can grow rapidly, and that's I have an example when we started BMate, because the question was, well, it's not over there now, but how we face the Airbnb threat. When we started the company BMate is a mixture between Airbnb, or rental apartments, and a hotel. So you have high quality standards of a hotel and flexibility of apartments. But this started because there was a startup which had some software created over this topic, and he came to us. Well, we already were looking for it, and he came to us, and we sort of started working with him. He joined the company. We created a new company because it was another name before. And we started running this new whole business, which we hadn't before. So this was an opportunity for a startup. We faced a new threat. Threat for us was a challenge and opportunity. It wasn't a threat. And there's this combination which can always be created. We're really disruptive because our president, if you don't know, probably you don't know him, but it's a well-known personality in Spain, Quique Sarasola. Google him, please. So you'll check. He's a really funny and empowering guy. And he was an athlete in the Olympics, so he's well known for that. And he's the first disruptive guy in the company. So that leads to every single one of us thinking always in new innovations. And when a startup comes, we're always hearing what he has to say and trying to match how that can add value to our business. And if we have to create another business, which at first could cannibalize ourselves, but it didn't, we are brave enough to do so. So I think that's a nice ecosystem to create when you're when you don't have, or you're more agile because you're little and you don't own properties.
And they usually come to you, the startups, or do they go to GMs?
Lots of times, yeah. Well, to everyone, but we have the innovation everywhere. One of our best things, which is a Wi-Fi device similar to one presented before, this came from a housekeeping from the Hotel Oscar in Madrid. She saw it. She were always hearing the customers complaining, and someone talked about her, about this device, and she told us, and we took it. And
so it's a case where it's really about the company culture, this culture of
innovation.
innovation.
It's totally about
culture.
Culture, totally.
And Rafael, what do you think? What is the best way for a startup to approach a corporation?
Yeah, it's a good question, and so it's funny because when I arrived at Icor, suddenly I had a lot of startups coming and with great ideas and great projects, and I discovered a lot of them were actually in contact with 5, 10, maybe 15 people already at Icor, and it can be quite frustrating to have all these people that you're talking to and getting their interest and having difficulty in seeing things moving forward. Actually, it's been said already, but even for a big company like a big chain like Icor, the best way usually is to start with the hotel. It's a few hotels and basically prove that you have something that's working. It's really hard, especially for early stage startups. It's really hard for us from the headquarter perspective to take a solution that is new, that is innovative, and that is early stage, and to push it in the hotels. So you do a much better job at going in the hotels, convincing them to try to do a pilot, get some metrics, get some figures, prove a ROI, and then we can help scale.
So as Rom said, I'm an engineer, and I know most except Ronen, who is a pure blood hotelier. Our panelists, everybody's here is an engineer, computer science. So what did you learn from being in the hospitality business? What do you feel that you had to maybe change in your mindset or be more open to really have your efforts be successful?
Okay, I will.
In case of most startups, I would think.
I am now 12 years in the hospitality market, and the last, I think, last 8 years in GCH Hotel Group. It's amazing the shifting in understanding the needs of the technology in the hotels. The need came from the clients, you know, the customers, and this is what we are following. We are following the customers, the connected traveler, the people there, the millennials. We are all millennials today. You know, we are all connected to our mobiles, to our phones, to see and to search information. So this is a behavior that we need to adapt, and almost every year you need to understand again, and every half a year maybe, to understand again what way you have to engage your customer. GCH has it's the owner of most of the hotels. We have franchise from Holiday Inn, Best Western, Wyndham, and each one of them with a different DNA, each one with a different way of showing their property. And the challenge is it's big, and it's nice when you found a common denominator. And in digital, in the different stages, you can find them. And adopting new technologies is part of the flow that my department and I personally are doing because of the changes in the customer behavior.
Just to add to that, I don't know if people have heard the song Hotel California. You can check in anytime you like, but you can never leave. That's true, seriously. I don't know if it applies to people, because once you get in, it just absorbs you all the time. For those of a lot of people who are not hospitality people, who have not gone to hospitality schools, I think it's amazing, because if you can bring a lot of that know-how of engineering, data science, machine learning, all these are people are saying they're buzzwords, but we're actually using some of this stuff. So we have companies right now which, one of them, we're predicting what the occupancies are going to be on a daily basis in the future, not for the hotel, but for the market. So Tel Aviv is going to have 89% on July 15th with prediction accuracies. And what does that do? How do you bring in that level of data and use it to predict what your pricing should be, not internally, not inside out, but outside in? So there's so much of innovation that's happening. In one company we're looking at right now, which is financing travel in the US, it's going to be very, very big because this is a multi-billion industry, is combining the fintech approach with travel tech. And if you can bring financing to travel without filling up huge forms, this company does a credit check in the US in exactly 1 second and can give you the loan and say, don't pay $1,200 for your vacation trip, but pay $110 a month for the next 12 months or $220 for the next 6 months. And they can give you that provision. And they ran interesting statistics behind it before even launching it. What percentage of people have enough money on the credit card today to buy the travel they require? And they found out 48% of the people didn't have that, but would have the money in the future. So they said, wow, that's a huge market. So if you can adopt that and bring some of this financing to travel in a seamless, integrated way with big data, great UI, have the right partners in place, that's huge. And so one of the things that we look for, because we've moved now to 7 or 8 investments now, we've moved from early stage now and we've progressed to a later stage. The first important thing that we always ask is, what is the size of the market? Start with that. What is the size of the market? This is what I'm going to get if I get 1% penetration. This is what I'm going to get with 10% penetration. How many competitors are in that space? And how do I need to get to that 1%, to that 5%, to the 10% to get a big chunk? And that translates into the overall value of what the company is going to be for the future.
Thank you. So I would like to finish with maybe some live questions. Is anyone up to having a little bit of hard time? Yes.
There is a question on the top. 28 people liked it, so we can ask that one if you want. But here is a live one as well.
Okay. So how are your hotels innovating beyond the concierge brochure at the front desk model for tourism experiences? So Raphael, would you like?
Sure. We're looking. No, it's a good question. Actually, it's interesting because I think one of the key thing for the tourism experience is finding the right way. It's probably not totally online, especially in hotels. It's probably finding the right way to leverage all this concierge and their knowledge and the fact that they're in touch with the guest to offer the right experience to the guests. We're still experimenting. One of the things that for the tourism activities, we heard about it in the Phocuswright study. One of the things that make it hard to innovate and test is the fact that most of the suppliers are not online. So it's really tough still at this point to offer a seamless experience, whatever way you put it, basically.
I don't think you're ignoring the information that the guest wants to know. It's just the format in which we're delivering it is different than what it used to be. It used to be that sales people or front desk people would hand over information on a piece of paper. Now there's startups that come up with iPads that you can hand over and people can search it. In one of the hotels about 7, 8 years ago, we put a Surface down on the table. And people used to go to, instead of talking to a concierge, they would search for the information themselves. We've been testing it out for a long time. I think that the direction is now, at least from my experience, has been more and more people are on their mobile, more and more people are using that as their source of information. If you have the right content and the right connectivity to the customer, they can get almost anything they want, any information they want from either your website, your .com yourself, rather than having to hand over a brochure. For those that don't have a phone, which I don't know many people that don't have a phone, most people have 2 or 3 phones, I think that the convenience of having everything on their device is probably the direction that, that most of the hoteliers would go. And I just add one more thing. I wanted to add to what was said previously about who to go to and how to go in a small company. I'd agree with what was said. Having worked for 2 of the 4 largest hotel companies in the world, incredibly difficult to get your voice heard, and I would agree that the almost only way to get your stuff done is through a hotel and going and saying, beta test it, take it for free, use it, show proof of concept, and then hopefully have then an advocate in the GM or multiple GMs to sell it inside the company. But trying to navigate through the IT department in some of these large companies is hard for the CEO of a company to do, let alone for somebody that, for a startup that's trying to come. So going to a smaller company, predominantly that owns their hotels, that manages their hotels, and that has the similar PMS systems, makes it a lot easier to implement any solution.
And even then, where do you go? Marketing, operations, IT?
Well, I think you can definitely go down the route of a GM to try to move your idea forward. But I get at least 20 or 30 emails a week. I get hundreds, but 20 or 30 from startups. We have a great idea. This is where we're heading. And I usually tell them, go through the channel of the IT, of my head of IT, and try to sell them the idea. And if they come to me and say, listen, there's a great idea that we can implement, then we sit around and discuss it. It's not easy to get that voice. And I would say the most persistent, and really what's important is the person that's approaching. I've had multiple times happen that depending on the personality of the person, you talked about earlier about how important it is that there is a passion there, that there is somebody that really proves their capability through, it's not being the best salesman, it's not necessarily that, but it is about having the right person deliver that message, deliver that pitch. And when you have the right person that connects very well, that's when you need the hospitality side. You need the right person that understands what the audience is and makes sure that he connects with that person and understands what those points are, whether it's what's the size of the market, whatever those points are, and then talks to those points to actually hook the person that he's talking into. And that really is an important element, is
so
who's pitching it.
So it's still about people and relationships.
At the end, that's what it is. Yeah.
Yeah, so we had the questions she was going to ask.
My question is more about the environmental impact, and are you using technology actually to demonstrate and track environmental impact? One of the things, for example, is urban agriculture. You guys have a lot of real estate in cities. Are you considering using any of the rooftops to do rooftop to market for your restaurants or kitchens, etc.?
Can you say
My name is Orna Sharon, but I'm actually not from this industry. I actually work on an opening innovation center in Atlanta.
Thank you.
I'm not sure I heard the question right, but...
I think the question is whether you are focused on the tech in environmental connection and using rooftops of hotels for environment, stuff like that, to grow plants. From our side, we are very commercial. We use rooftops for a bar, restaurants, make the money. So, but I mean, we do try to be commercially focused or environmentally focused when you can save money too. So, but that doesn't go to say that we don't have a focus on environment, but I don't know whether you have anything from that side. Yeah,
we do have some initiatives. There's at the group level, there is something called Planet 21, which is an initiative really encouraging all kinds of projects for more responsible environment and everything. We have a lot of initiatives. They're mostly locals, so they're encouraged, but it's mostly on the hotel initiative of using rooftop. Usually, when we can use it to make a good bar, we'll make a good bar. But in a lot of areas, yeah, we have this kind of projects.
GCH, we have sustainability is part of the DNA of the management chain. Really focus on energy, and because most of the hotels are in Germany, there are regulations there on what to do with your roof in the hotel as well, to save energy, to help the environment. So there are rules that are coming from the regulator, and some of them we are doing a lot of initiatives. Even one of the hotels is trying to do a farmers part near the hotel, and we are having some success with that. So this kind of approach, I think, is very positive for the guests as well.
One thing you should check out is the One Hotels. They have it in New York and Miami. They're one of the most amazing environmental friendly hotels, charging as high rates of $900 to $1,000. But they do everything from composting to even the furniture is used from dead forest wood. So they've brought the entire thing. So if you, from your perspective, see what they're doing, I think they're creating a really, really new trend of commercial and environment together. It's called the One Hotel Group.
I'm sorry, we need to wrap up. There are two more quick questions, and I've seen somebody that was really hungry, was asking when is lunch. So lunch is just after this, except for that individual. So Ignacio, if you want to answer, and then there is one question here and one in the front.
Just to add, we are, for example, looking, we also have our rooftops with parties and everything, but we are planning to, this like an innovation. I'm heading Amsterdam next week to make a workshop with some of our housekeeping. Every single one in our hotel is important because they have great ideas. And we are going, I'm heading and looking for something which is eco-friendly and how to improve in that topic.
So one quick question here on the top.
My question is to the CEO of Dan Hotels. So you just mentioned that you're getting approximately 30 emails from startups offering technologies to implement in your hotel chain. And you also mentioned that you send them back to your people to check with them and then to come to you. So I'd like to share with you personal experience with our company, which we're going to bring two questions. So question number one, who is the person in your organization that is responsible for innovation and technology implementation? And question number two is, are you aware of the fact that 90% of the cases, the IT or the people that are responsible with this in the organization actually push it back because they don't want to disturb an existing situation or to implement new software, and they're actually preventing you to know that there is new technologies out there to be implemented?
Obviously, a very popular question. I would say that the head of innovation in the company would have to be me, because you're right. I mean, there are multiple things that are happening in the property, and we're talking about innovation. We're not even talking about, well, we spoke very quickly about regulation with GDPR, and that's a time-consuming effort for all of our companies. You've got just the basic stuff that we need to do on a daily basis, which is updating our websites, updating our content, thinking about the next generation of what we need to deal with. And that competes for time and attention with all the new ideas. I think that my best answer to you about, at least from Dan Hotels, is the fact that I think I'm the only one in the room with a tie, so I'm probably the only hotelier here. But more seriously, I'm here. And I'm listening, and I'm listening to the startups. And I do meet with some of the startups, those that have already started working with us, some of them that are coming up that tweak my interest. But like everything in life, we have to prioritize. And when I see a startup that really tweaks my interest and says, this is a very, very special idea, I will get involved immediately. When I think I've seen this idea before, and it's very complicated, it needs a lot more technology, and I'm not the technological genius of the company, then I would then divert it to our IT, sometimes the marketing person in the company, to validate the idea and to make sure that they're okay. And I do understand that every once in a while, or more often than not, these ideas get pushed down just due to the volume of information that comes to us on a daily basis. And that's the biggest struggle, is the speed in which this is moving, the speed in which the world is moving, and to choose which are the ones that we can actually commit the time and effort to before. You can't say it to 100 people yes, you can only say 1 or 2 yeses, and you're trying to choose the best option. So I do realize that it is frustrating, but I hope that by my participation, my spending the day here, it shows a certain commitment, at least from my company that I work for, Dan Hotels.
Thank you. Just one quick comment here from Atlas Hotel.
Hi, I'm Michael Hay from Vision Hospitality and Atlas. We have created an innovation forum in our company where we sit every other week or twice a month. It's all comprised of people under 40 except of me, and we constantly invite startups to show us your stuff, and then we implement it in our hotels just for testings. And if it works, it works, and if it's not, you will know and you'll get all the results and you can experience it on your own. So we are very open for innovation, and it's something that we embedded in our company culture on a very regular basis. So you're all welcome to approach me and get my email and send me all your stuff, and we have the people that will look at it and will invite you in.
Okay, with this, thank you very much. Thank our panelists. We can all go for lunch.
Thank you very much again, Flavia, the panelists. And I want to echo what Ronen just said. Being here on stage is already showing commitment. It's a little bit lesser commitment from Ronen because it's just a short drive away, but very much from our guests that come abroad, that come to this market and are actively looking and interested in technology that is coming from here. So it's definitely the right step in the right direction. Thank you very much. Enjoy lunch and eat quickly because it will be shorter than originally planned.